HarperCollins presents A Steep and Savage Path by Jja Harwood, read by Rosalind Lailey. For Mum, Dad and Lucy, who I would walk into hell for, even if it means taking the bins out. Part 1. The wedding went better than everyone expected. Not a single drop of blood was spilled. It was a clear, cold morning, the breath of the mourners turning to mist, sunlight peeking over the slopes of the Carpathians. Irina's wedding clothes fitted her well, even though the embroidery was a little plainer than she would have liked, and her linen shirt smelled of the musty chest it had been kept in. There was still snow on the ground, but one of the villagers, a girl around her age, had found snowdrops lurking at the foot of a vast pine tree and braided them into Irina's dark hair. Her bridal crown itched, but that was to be expected. With so few flowers to be found, it was mostly pine, and the needles were digging into her scalp. They'd even found a beaded bridal choker that was the right size. It was not exactly what she had hoped for, but she supposed it would have to do. Her own village was miles away, and with the pass to Bukovina snowed over for the best part of a week, there was no hope of sending for her own things until it had cleared. Not that she would try and get a message home. The last thing she wanted was for her parents to find out where she really was. She shivered at the graveside with her hands clasped and her head bowed, trying to look as if she were listening to the priest and not observing the crowd. Black headscarves. Black felt and fur hats. The tips of noses and ears red in the cold. Blue shadows under every eye. Long, deep lines on every cheek. Hollow faces made hollower in the icicle-shaped shadow of the sharp church spire. Some of them would not look at her at all, their gaze sliding past to the pale-faced priest. Some of them could not look anywhere else, the hope in their eyes almost unbearable. Most of them kept glancing at the forest at their backs, pressing in on every side, the shadowy line of the trees curling around the village like fingers about to close around an ankle. It was still dark between the trees. The sunlight hadn't reached them yet. Irina supposed that was the point of having the wedding so early in the morning, a half-hearted attempt to pretend the groom was participating. The thought felt like stepping onto a thin sheet of ice, but she supposed someone had to let him know that he was getting married. Not that the groom was in any position to complain. He was dead. Father Simeon was nearing the end of his sermon. Ordinarily there would be songs, dancing, laughter, feasting, but the crowd was silent. Hands and feet were too heavy for dancing, and no one had laughed in the village since the first attack. In the dead of winter, and with their harvest stores slowly dwindling, none of them would have turned down a feast, but that was tainted too. No one liked to think of hunger at the edge of the forest. Irina shivered. Her wedding clothes were linen, made out of what could be spared. Embroidered red flowers ran down the length of her sleeves in long, thin lines, and whenever she saw them she could not help but think of claw marks scratched into her flesh. Her overskirt, wrapped around her waist and secured with a wide belt, was red too, and covered in geometric patterns in black, white and green. At least that was a little warmer, but she wished they hadn't put her in so much red. It felt like tempting fate. Suddenly nervous, she risked a glance at the forest. Nothing. Well, nothing she could see. If only the priest would hurry up, then she could go inside and start preparing. It wouldn't be safe to pack until she was truly alone, something that, working as a servant in the house of a wealthy farmer, she had sorely missed. Irina had no complaints about anyone under Mihai's roof, but there always seemed to be someone under it when she had things she needed to do in private. Father Simeon reached across and lifted the bridal crown off her head. The crowd murmured. Anticipation lurched through Irina. She tried not to let it show as the priest passed the bridal crown over the grave.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?